What is up and welcome back everyone. Today is another day on the Forester. Finally we've got some snow. It's like December 11th or 12th or I think it's December 15th. But anyways, that means that we gotta trade off these stock tires with all seasons for our STI BBSs and put them on the Forester. That also means that with the snow they're gonna be salting the roads, and if you guys know, salt kind of wrecks your paint and rust. So what we're going to be doing is a little bit of a rust correction today. We're going to be doing it on the classic Subaru corner. It's only on the driver's side of the Forester, so it's not that bad. And if you listen, it's still metal, so we're just going to kind of protect it. I'm not even going to try to make it look like it's really good. So last time we actually went ahead and painted and stuff. We're not even doing that this time. We're going to put some rocker liner on it because same thing as a roof on the Forester. Right now I just want to protect it from rust. So when I have enough money, this car can go into the body shop and get a full repaint and a respray and really clean it up, because 400,000 kilometers on it has done a lot to it. So that's what we'll be doing today, as well as putting on those tires. So the first thing I think is we're gonna get some room under those wheel wells, or especially that wheel well, but we're gonna be lifting up the rear of the car, and we're just gonna be taking off the stock tires so that we have just a little more room to work with. Then I'm gonna take an angle grinder and a Dremel, clean off that rust, and then we're gonna spray it with some rust primer, and then we're gonna spray with rocker liner and be good to go and ready for the winter. Got this side off, and then we got our side we're focusing off. So I just took off both back sides because, well, why not? Looking at the inside of the wheel well, it's actually not that bad. It's just this lip right here that we gotta focus on. So what I'm gonna do is, as you can see, there's some weird textures because of the clear I put on after. I'm not too worried about that because there's clear under it. So when we do our polish, we can just wet sand it. But I do want to take the paint off this lip, clean it up, and do all the fun stuff there. So with that, we have just like, this is a paint scraping disc. So I'll be using this on the angle grinder, and then I'll also be using the actual Dremel and using like small little bits to get in there. So this is our primary concern, is this wheel, so that's where we're going to focus on. The other one, there is a couple little spots in like the wheel arch. I'm just going to take the Dremel them out, prime them, and paint them. We'll do that, but we'll just do that on the side while we're working on this main wheel arch. So first things first, let's get this paint taken off where we need to and take a look at how bad this rust really is. It's gotten worse since we looked at it last time. That's not supposed to be like that. We kind of have just this piece just chilling out here. Well, not anymore. Rip Subaru. So it looks like it split, and there's a bunch of rust where it split. So right here. So now I'm going to take a Dremel and Dremel out this pocket of rust, and then Dremel out this pocket, because as you can see, this is metal here, and then this is rust and this is rust. So if we can tackle these two sections, we should be able to get it a little bit better, because that's not helping at all. So what we did last time, I think, is we cleaned it up, but we didn't go into this pocket. What I'm going to have to do, though, is I'm going to have to put a little body filler, I think, in there, and just fill it for the time being when we put the rocker guard on it, just to help with preventing any moisture buildup. But I'm going to get the Dremel and work on these now. Like an hour later, look at my face. It's covered in rust. And that's not even the bad part, guys. We have seemed to have done some weight reduction that I don't like. We seem to have put some holes in our car. So, yeah, that's a thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a piece of metal came off. So yeah, that's what we're looking at for our weight reduction and our speed holes. This is the wrong kind of speed hole. You don't want this on your race car. But anyways, what we're looking at is essentially Subaru has this sheet metal and then this sheet metal in here. And what they do is they fold it together, and then they essentially combine them and then seam seal them. And guess what happens? Seam sealer wears out, and then eventually you get rust in there, and then it rusts the inside of it here without actually rusting the outside. So that makes it really interesting and not a lot of fun. So I was actually doing this with the Dremel, and I kind of like, oh, let's just take this little bit of this pocket of rust, and I went right through, and I'm like, oh no, this is all a pocket of rust. So yeah, we've got a fairly large hole now, so we're gonna have to use some of that fiberglass Bondo, I think. but I don't know. I think I'm going to clean it up a little bit more. So what's next is I think we're going to try to get this whole thing as raw metal as we can before we start putting stuff in. The issue is we do need something to put in this pocket. So this had seam sealer. So I might actually use some of the right stuff we used as gasket maker, or some just some like floor tile chalking, because that needs to be essentially sealed up. Because it's just a giant hole right now, and it was a giant hole. Filled with rust. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit more, and then I'll update you guys on what we're going to fill this with before we start bondoing this and then rocker lining it and all that fun stuff. And another hour later, there we go. I think we have as much of the bare metal as possible. So we're going to essentially now take some of our Bondo fiberglass stuff and start putting it in here. We're gonna see how well that works. It might take a couple coats, or like 5, but I've also got to put some in this little hole here, and then I'm got to essentially push these two together. But first I'm gonna put some rust prevention stuff in there, and then we'll put the Bondo in. Then we will hopefully get this painted. So this quick one-day video is definitely not going to be a quick one-day video. Definitely have to be 2 days, but I'll keep the it all into one video just so you guys can go ahead and watch the whole process, because who doesn't love a good rust clean? But anyways, this is what this side looks like. So I've got some of that rust converter that we always use on there. It changes the raw metal and any rust purple. I put a lot on so it's drying. So what I went ahead is I actually went over to the other side and I started work, and this side is so much easier, it's not even funny. So on this side, all we gotta do is just clean up this lip. So that's what I'm doing. I've just went ahead, grinded this lip down, find any rust spots in the wheel well, found those, washed the wheel well, because essentially I'm going to be spraying rocker guard on this part backwards. So that means that we're going to be doing a lot of rocker guard. So I had to kind of clean the inside of here. That's what I did. That's all clean and ready to go. And then I just ground down a couple spots. I saw some rust forming. So that means that we can go ahead, take our rocker guard and start spraying soon. I just washed it down and I'm letting it dry before we go ahead and put some rocker guard on. So this side will pretty much be done by the end of the tonight. And I think I'm going to let that stuff, that rust converter, cure all night, because I put a lot on, as I said, and it's still tacky, and it's been like an hour and a half. So I think we'll leave it for tonight, and then tomorrow morning I can go ahead and then start filling that with a lot of Bondo. This is not a great thing to do, but that's what we're gonna do. Also, I went ahead and I actually was going to along the side of the car and found the little spots on the bottom. The pinch welds are actually in really good condition, especially the front. This rear one's a little bit worse, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss some rust primer on there just for now. Eventually we'll have to take off the side skirts, but no use in doing it now. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to soon start spraying this. Well, this side is still drying. This stuff is taking forever because I put it on so thick, but we're going to leave it. And as I said, we moved over to this side. Well, now this side's ready to paint. I just put some primer on the edge where there was raw metal, because you should always just prime raw metal before you put any kind of coating on it. But the issue is now that is drying, and it's already like 9:15. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this paint dry, or this primer dry, sorry, before we go ahead and rocker guard it. But as I said, we are rocker guarding the whole lip. So what I did is I put some tape on the edge, and then I sanded this where we didn't take off any paint. Just with 220, I believe, just to rough it up, and then we went ahead and painted or primed any of the raw metal. So this will be all ready to go tomorrow to go ahead and prime it. As you can see, I'm covered in dirt. I also went just under the car and did any spots with some primer just where there was any rust. I took some of the rust primer and primed it just to make sure that if we do go through snow or stuff, we're not going to completely rust it out. So just a little bit of peace of mind there, and a little bit of extra coverage while I was waiting. But as you can see, waiting was all useless because we still got to wait a whole day now. So I will see you guys in not 24 hours, in like 8 hours, which is like 1 second your time. And we're back. It's a new day, and that means we can finally paint these rear walls. I was actually gonna go ahead and first put on the Bondo on this corner, but my rust converter still hasn't converted. It's still actually converting or whatever it has to do, and it's still kind of tacky. So we're gonna actually go ahead and paint first, which means we'll then jump on this in a bit. I did wipe off some of the, like, it was, as you can tell, my fingers are covered in it because I just went to touch it and it was still wet. So I kind of capped some of that off so it's a little bit less thick, and that should hopefully dry it a little bit quicker. Then we can go ahead, fill it. I actually got to bend back this little piece because, well, it's not bent in the proper position. Bend that back, fill it up, sand it, prime it, rocker guard it. So let's go ahead and you guys all probably, since you're watching this, all probably know how to paint, so I'm not going to go ahead and bore you with the painting again. So we're just gonna turn this lip into rocker guard and then do a couple little spots. I've got a couple little spots like this guy right here that have been primed, and do rocker guard on there, and then hopefully we should go ahead, be able to then move over to the more interesting left side. Well, I can tell you it smells like paint in here, but anyways, we are now done this side. So what I did is I did all these little spots in here. So like there's a spot back there, there's a spot up there, and then there's actually a spot way up there, but we all got that done. And then we also went ahead and we did our, essentially our weld right here. So we'll grab the light so we can see a little better. But essentially we did this whole arch all the way up and around there with a rocker liner. I made sure to be careful to get the very edge of it, so like this piece right here, and then I actually went along with a mirror. Where's my little mirror? Here we go. This little guy, and I used that to check along essentially all the edges, make sure I got it, and then I got inside the well. So on the other side of this, there's like another piece of metal. We sprayed that where I seen there was some stuff that could be sprayed on. So it's all coated in here, it's all protected, and we're all good to go on this side. So yeah, like if we look down here, this is all protected now. So that should last us another couple years, hopefully. And then like there's a spot right there, but yeah, the top of this is actually looking pretty good. And there's just a closer look at that arch. So we essentially did this whole lip. I didn't do that last time, but I thought might as well, since we're trying to keep this rust free as we can. So yeah, that's all done, and this whole wheel is ready to go. So I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit more, and then we can throw the winter tire on and be good to go. But with that being said, let's go check on this other side and see if we can go ahead and paint it yet. Oh yeah, it's dry now, perfect. And not painted, I was wrong there, but yeah, it's dry. So it was just a little, oh, it's still a little tacky on the inside, interesting. Okay, I think I have a plan. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on these holes like right here and the seam where the two pieces of metal meet. We're gonna try to fill that up with this Bondo first, just because, well, that's what we want to make sure seals. So what we're going to do is fill this up and then fill this up and squish this so that it fits the body line. And then I will catch up to you once we figure out. I think I honestly am going to put some cardboard back here, fill it up, let it dry, sand it, fill the inside, sand it, and then paint it. That's really all you can do. You could get some wire mesh and kind of glue it on, or you could, like, the proper way would to be cut more of this out and weld in a new piece, but I don't have a welder, or I don't have the welding skills, so we're gonna not do that. So first thing is first, filling this hole. It only took 3 coats, but check this out. We almost have a full fender again. So I just gotta now file this down. I actually had to do this 3 times, as I said, just because I messed up the first time and then I want to smoothen it out. And the back is still not really smooth, but when I smoothen it out the last time, it will be all good. I'm using actually the Dremel for a lot of this. And just dremeling it, but to get a lot of the material off at the very start, I end up using, oh no, I can't find it, here we go, this kind of like really rough grit file, and we just go like this with gloves on, and because it's a fiberglass reinforced, so you don't want to get fiberglass on your hands, and then we essentially file it down, and then we should be good to put a little bit, 1 layer of like glazing putty essentially to smoothen it all out. And then we can spray it with some rocker guard. Okay, now that we got it pretty much the shape we wanted, I think it's pretty actually close. There's just a couple of rough spots here and there. It's time to use our favorite stuff, more Bondo. This is just body filler, so I want to smoothen out here. So we want to pretty much press it up against here. Usually you put a glaze putty on top of this. We're not going to do that because that's usually to make it nice and smooth for paint, but rocker guard isn't smooth, so why should we make this smooth? So yeah, we're going to essentially press it up against here, smoothen all this off. I won't be using the Dremel to smoothen this, I'll actually be using sandpaper, but I even got this like little edge, it's really hard to see on camera, but I've got like this little edge here where it kind of slopes in, so I think we're going to have this looking all right. So yeah, let's put on this Bondo and then get to painting all of this because I'm getting done with it. It's been a hot minute, and when I say that, it's been like 3 hours. But it's there. Look at that, guys. So the Bondo is there. It's nice and smooth now, and we can go ahead and prime it. It's not perfect, as I said, but really, we're not really too concerned about that just because, well, this is just stopping the rust. But it follows the body line. The bumper fits in really well. So we're all good to go. So what I'm going to do, tape this line up here. And then we're going to spray some self-etching primer. Where did it go? Right here. Just because we have a lot of raw metal, so we might as well spray some self-etching here. And there's no rust, so no need to spray the rust primer. And then we can finally take our rocker guard and spray it and be done. Well, I've been waiting for this stuff to cure and all that fun stuff. I've already put on every other winter tire. If you didn't know, my winter tires are the stock BBSs from the STI, but yeah, those are now all on the car. So finish this up and then we are done this 2-day adventure. And just with a little bit of quick rocker guard, there we go. It is officially all painted and protected. The inside lip is all painted and protected. I did the same thing with the mirror and checked it. So the whole inside lip is now all ready to go and hopefully rust free for another couple years, especially that section. Well, it's kind of hard to get rust when there is no place for rust to be anymore, so I'm not too concerned about that section, but the area around it could rust. But we'll see how that works, and maybe we'll be doing this in another year. But last thing to do is to put on this tire and lower it down. I can't put on the mud flap yet because I need to put the bumper in, and to put the bumper in, I need to be able to put the let it dry for a little bit. So we're gonna leave it like this and just put the wheel on because, as I said, we have all of our tires on this side while I was waiting for stuff to dry. So let's go ahead and put that last tire on. And there we go. We finally put that little bit of rocker guard on there. So we'll see how that looks. You'll just have to stick around on the channel if you want to see how that looks in 6 months when it gets dirty, because I know rocker guard does not clean very well, so that might be a concern. But I mean, at least it's not going to rust. Well, what is there to rust? But anyways, there we go. We've completed our rust prevention removal, whatever you want to call it, on the Forester. Again, 2 years after we did the first time. This time was a little more serious, but actually it doesn't look that bad. You guys have to see some of the photos on Instagram when I take this out on some adventures, because you probably won't notice that it's missing a huge hunk of metal, but we'll have to see. Anyways, also got the winter tires on, did that. Those are the BBSs from the STI, so still put it in good use, but they definitely look a little small on here. I got Michelin X Ice on here, so we'll have lots of traction on ice and snow, so yeah. But that is going to be it for today's video. Let me know if you had to do something this serious to your car for rust removal, or if you even have any rust on your cars, because I know in the States, definitely not as bad in some places. But that is going to be it. So as always, peace out and stay humble.